Hello everybody, JT Bear coming at you from inside my little aquaponic greenhouse today. Guess what? My digital pH meter finally arrived. And, well, I was going to read out the instructions for this. It occurred to me that's just not very nice. But I am going to say, as a note to people in other countries who make products for shipment globally, it might be a really good idea to get someone who speaks the language fluently to double check the instructions that you send out with your products, because I can honestly tell you that the first time I read these out loud, Shocks and I had a really good laugh. Basically though, my translation of their directions is that I need to calibrate this thing before I use it, and I'm going to need to do it in a known pH value. So since the only thing I've really got kicking around the house that I'm absolutely sure of the pH value is some white vinegar, 2.4, I'm going to use that to calibrate that, and then we're just going to take a look at a couple of the different waters in my greenhouse and see just how out of whack things really are. I'm a little bit nervous, but let's get started. So here we have those directions in question. Ironically enough, the warranty information, pretty well written by comparison to the rest of it. Here we have the pH pen itself. I'll take a better look at that in a second. And the little tiny toy screwdriver that came for adjusting the calibration. This could be fun. Alright, so here we've got a little testing glass. Get some white vinegar in there. So according to basic chemistry, this should read at 2.4. Take the bottom off of that. Little switch on the top. Oh, and I guess there's my little calibration screw. Put it in. Now I apparently need to give this a few seconds to adjust itself, so. I'm reading 2.8 off that though, so that's not that far off the mark considering this is straight out of the factory. Gonna try and adjust that now. Down to 2.4. Alright. Well, that was certainly very simple. Now for the bit that's got me a little bit worried. Checking my tank water. Well, let's start with the no power aquaponic system first. There are a few things I want to mention to you guys about that, but that's going to be in another video, I think. First things first, let's check the pH. Alright, I'm just going to grab my little sample cup here. Turn on the pH meter. And we'll see. That looks like it says 4.3 to me. That can't be good. I sure hope that's wrong. Let's take a look at the other tank and see what it has to say. So here we've got the one that's running with a pump. So hopefully it's looking a little bit better than that. Going up to 5.2. 5.4, 5.5. Either way, unless this meter is completely off track, that's really low in both tanks. What I'm going to do is I'm going to check this against the vinegar one more time and make sure I'm still getting a reading of 2.4 there. This is slowly climbing though. Oh, seems to have stopped at 5.8. Just as I say that, 5.9. Alright, I'm going to turn off the camera and give this a minute or two to do its thing, and we'll see where it's at then. Alright, well that's had a minute to sit, and it seems to be sitting steady at 6 now. So that's not quite as bad. I think, what, 6.8 is the bottom of what we're supposed to have our aquaponic water at. Not too terribly sure on that because I haven't really paid enough attention to that over these last 3 years. But like I said in one of my previous videos, I'm going to start trying to take more care and a more scientific approach to my greenhouse garden. So we're going to look into a few different things over the next few weeks to see what I can do to naturally raise my pH levels. I don't want to add any chemicals or any kind of store-bought stuff. If I can't find it in the wild, forage for it, whatever you want to call it, then I don't want to use it in my system. So, right, we'll take a look at that. But anyway, we're going to double check that pH meter, like I said, back in the white vinegar, and see if it's still reading 2.4, and if I need to adjust it or just kind of what's going on. Alright, so shake that off, drop it back into the vinegar, and instantly it drops to 2.6, so at least for the most part it's reading accurately, down to 2.5. I'll let this sit for about 60 seconds. Alright, well that seems to be sitting at 2.5. I'm going to check the pH level in the no power tank one more time just for a final value, and we'll take it from there. Alright, I'm going to need to get more of those cups from the dollar store, I think, but shake the vinegar off, and in it goes. That's still not looking very promising. Alright, I'll let it sit and see what we get to. Well, I'm not sure how well it's showing up on the camera, but it's finally climbed up to about 4.9. So I am definitely going to have to figure out something for that no power tank right quick. So there we have our answer. This tank is currently sitting at a pH of 6. Not so bad, not so great, but not so bad. While this tank is sitting at a pH of 4.95 if we feel like being generous. So something will definitely have to be done. I've heard that a lot of people use driftwood in their tanks to maybe adjust the pH level a little bit. If you have any experience with that, let me know. Otherwise, if you've got any ideas on natural solutions that I can throw into the fish tank, like I said, let me know. So there we go. I finally got a pH pen. I can finally start tracking. For those of you guys who keep asking me, you know, what my pH is at, now we'll all know. And I guess that's it for now. This is JT Bear saying thanks for joining me in my little aquaponic greenhouse. Have yourselves a fantastic day.